welcome to the Activated Storytellers 11th podcast.
This week's story is Sadako and the Thousand Cranes.
Hi, I'm Dennis.
And I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Zephyr.
And together we are, of course, the Activated Storytellers.
This week we're podcasting from Redding, California.
Yes, Redding is one of those color towns which whenever we drive through, we seem to have vehicle problems. In fact, we're having a muffler problem right now that we're trying to get taken care of.
How do you figure it's a color?
Well, let's see. We've had trouble in Redding before, and Red Bluff, and we had trouble in Gold Run.
Oh, it seems every color as we go across the Sierra Nevadas, we end up having vehicle trouble.
What was that one we went through? Started with a V. It was...
Oh, Verdi.
Verdi. That's the only one. Verdi is
we
Spanish or Latin for green.
And we haven't had trouble there yet.
That's the only one. But we had trouble in Blue Canyon.
Oh, did we ever?
And Auburn.
Uh-huh. Bad trouble.
So if there's anyone who works with the government here... listening to this, don't name things after colors because we have a lot of trouble with that.
We are just back from Japan. In fact, we landed yesterday, I believe it was. We're a little messed up on our times right now because when we left Japan, it was the morning. Well, basically, we ended up leaving Japan right after we arrived in California.
Right. We left Japan yesterday afternoon, and we arrived in California yesterday morning. So we had to live yesterday twice.
And by yesterday, we mean Monday, because we are recording this a couple of days before you'll hear it on Thursday.
And we were very sad to leave Japan because we had such a wonderful time there. And we're looking forward to going back again already.
Yes, big thank you to the Kanai family for being outstanding hosts and showing us the perfect tour of Japan.
Arigatou gozaimashita!
Arigato.
A big thank you to the Kanais, a big thank you to the people of Kamagaya City and Saitama Prefecture and the whole population of Japan. They were just wonderful.
Oh, absolutely love the country. Had a great time there. Before we left, we got to visit Tokyo DisneySea.
Yay! I'm the Disney nut in the family. I have to go to one of the Disney parks either time we hit a coast in the U.S., and so I absolutely insisted that if we were going to Japan, I had to go to Tokyo Disney.
And we're very happy that we did. And we got a special treat while we were there.
That's right. In Tokyo Disney, they just put in a new Tower of Terror. Some of you who've been to California Adventure might know this ride, but it originated in Disney World in Florida at Disney MGM Studios, and they've been putting up different versions of it, and they put up one in Tokyo DisneySea. It does not open until September 4th, but they were doing guest testing, which is kind of like a soft opening on the day we were there, so we got to go on it before it was officially open, which was awesome, because it's very different from the other Tower of Terrors.
Yes, and the other Tower of Terrors use the theme from the Twilight Zone and have the Rod Serling video talking to you before, and they set the stage with that. The Tokyo DisneySea one was more along the lines of a, what'd you say?
It was a Robert Ripley type character, a man who owned a big hotel and collected all these things from his travels around the world. And very interesting because they had a little character, a little statue that just disappeared right before your very eyes, and we've seen this. We saw this 3 or 4 times, and we still can't figure out how they did it.
Spoiler alert! Thank you. Spoiler alert! Yes, Shriki Tundu. I have a new favorite Disney character that probably not very many Americans are going to be familiar with. Shriki Tundu is the name of the little idol. He's cool. He's awesome. I have a new T-shirt with him on it. But yes, definitely check that out. Go to Japan now. Now, buy your tickets as we speak. Now, leave for Japan.
So we got to see that, and we also got to visit Ghibli Museum, which we'd like to tell you a little bit about. For those of you familiar with the films, such as Spirited Away,
Kiki's Delivery Service, Laputa, which was redone in English as Castle in the Sky, but
Hayao Miyazaki
is often referred to as the Japanese Disney, the Japanese Walt Disney. He's a giant of animation.
Yeah, they a lot of Americans are probably not too familiar with Studio Ghibli and Hayao Miyazaki. Again, look for Castle in the Sky and Spirited Away, especially because those were recently released by Disney. Disney started picking up Studio Ghibli films and releasing them in the U.S. And while we were in Japan, not only did we go to the Studio Ghibli Museum, but I got to see a new Studio Ghibli film with our hosts, son and daughter, Keisuke and Ayaka. And it's a new one. It was all in Japanese, so I didn't understand too much of it. But I got to see it before it hits the U.S. Yay!
We were also very lucky in that we got to have a private tea ceremony while we were in Japan. A neighbor lady came over to the house we were staying at and performed the tea ceremony for us. And not only that, the really, really neat thing about that is she taught me how to do the tea ceremony as well. I got to wear a kimono, and she walked me through the steps. Now, she could only speak Japanese, but I was able to understand about 90% of what she was saying and what she was doing through a little nonverbal communication. So I was very happy to be able to do that.
Be watching our website. In the near future, you'll be able to see photos of Kimberly in a kimono serving tea to our host family.
Yes, we're a little behind on getting our website updated. We were not able to get our computer online while we were over in Japan. So we're a little bit behind on getting the website updated, but we should have that up in a couple of days.
One great thing is, though, we're back with our recording studio, so hopefully we'll have better sound quality than we had in Japan using the equipment we could take with us.
And you mentioned our host family a little while ago. Speaking of our host family, we have a little hello message from them to whoever's listening.
We're here with our host family in Japan, the Kanai family, and they've been really great to us.
Sugoi, sugoi!
Sugoi, as they say in Japan. Great family. We're very happy to be here with them. We'd like to put them on to say howdy to all the listeners out there. Yukari is Kimberly's Japanese sister.
Hi.
And she was... why don't you explain how you met Yukari?
Oh, yes, of course. Yukari was an exchange student, came over and stayed with my family way back, a couple years ago when she was 19 and I was 13, just a couple years ago. And so we've known each other, for a while. Now we both have families, and we're very happy to be over here visiting with her family.
We have family in Japan.
Yes. So this is Yukari.
Hajimemashite. Nice to meet you. My name is Yukari. Yukari desu.
Yes, and this is the rest of her family. Her husband, Toshihide.
はい、としひでです。今日本は夏休みで、子供たちが今いますけども、もうじき学校が始まります。アメリカはどうですか?
What did you say? 英語お願いします。
Nice to meet you.
That works.
Toshihide is a retired travel agent. He retired about a year ago. And we learned that he was a gymnast in high school. And so he and Kimberly got into a little contest in the living room the other night, walking on their hands and so on. It was quite a spectacle.
It was showdown time. This is, why don't you introduce the kids?
All right. Over here is Keisuke.
Hi, my name is Keisuke. Nice to meet you.
Keisuke is 17 years old, and he recently started working part-time at a restaurant. He enjoys American comic books and similar movies to the ones Zephyr watches. They had a good time watching movies together.
And over here, Keisuke's sister, who's also my sister because this is my Japanese family, Ayaka.
Hi, my name is Ayaka. Nice to meet you.
Ayaka is 13, and she loves to play tennis.
And she loves to tickle people.
Yes, she loves to wrestle with Zephyr.
And that's our Japanese family. Woo!
Yay!
Let's see. Now, we were told before we went over there that it's sort of taboo to bring up World War II to the Japanese, but we had it brought up to us several times. They seemed to be interested in discussing it. We went to visit Yukari's parents, and her father was a veteran in World War II. He spent 4 years in the Army, and the last 2 years were in a POW camp in Siberia, and it was fascinating hearing about that.
Yes, and he also showed us the uniform that he wore while he was in service and told us about his life in Siberia. The snow, he said, was very high, and he had to cut trees down while he was there as the work. He was a prisoner of war.
And also, our host Toshihide took us to a fascinating little museum about the history of Kumagaya City, their hometown. And there was an exhibit showing how their city was bombed by American forces on the day before the war ended.
Right.
And this was not an atomic bomb such as hit Nagasaki and Hiroshima, but it did a lot of devastation.
Right, and there was no, as far as I can tell, there was no military installment there in Kumagaya City, so it was just a bombing of a city. Now, war, I think everybody will agree that no matter what, war is a horrible thing. No fun on either side, no matter who's right, who's wrong. And there were a lot of damage done on both sides. We've also visited Manzanar here in California. On the way to Bishop, California, is Manzanar. Now, Manzanar is it's not a prisoner of war camp because they weren't prisoners.
No, essentially they were. I mean, they were not called prisoners, but they were rounded up and kept there against their will.
It was basically Japanese-American citizens who were kept on encampments during the war, and there's several throughout the United States. We've also visited with a Holocaust survivor in Michigan who was at the museum there in Michigan. What was the name of that museum?
I believe it's called the Holocaust Memorial.
Right, in Michigan, and they have survivors who talk to you. It's part of the presentation. So we've met with them as well and heard their story. So war is horrible on either side of the fence. But right now we do have a story for you, and this story is based on a World War II story, and it's actually a true story. Now, this week's story is Sadako and the Thousand Cranes. Just a little warning, this is not the cheeriest of stories or topic matters, so we'd like to let you know that before you listen.
Sadako was a girl born in 1943 in Japan. She was about 2 years old on August 6, 1945, when at 8:15 a.m., Americans dropped bombs on Hiroshima, only 2 kilometers away from where she was. She survived, although many people around her died, and she appeared to be normal until the age of 12.
Now, when she was 12, she was doing very well in school, had lots of friends, very energetic, and she liked to run track.
And then once after an important relay race, she started feeling really tired and dizzy, and the dizziness went away that day, so she felt okay that day, and she figured it was probably just the stress from running the race that had caused her to become dizzy.
But unfortunately it wasn't. She was diagnosed with leukemia, which at that time was called the A-bomb disease.
And leukemia can be treated pretty successfully these days, but back then...
So one day, Sadako's best friend Shizuko came over and brought her with her some origami folding paper, and told her about the legend of the 1,000 cranes.
Now, the legend goes that if you fold 1,000 cranes, or senzaburo, that it will please the gods, and that the folder of these senzaburo is granted a wish.
Well, Sadako folded cranes, and she seemed to get better, but she had only folded 644 when she died.
Well, now the friends and her family were so touched by her spirit and her attitude and her will to survive, and the fact that she was always so cheerful and so hopeful, that even after she died, they decided they were going to continue her pursuit. And so they kept at it and reached her goal of 1,001 cranes. And they raised money. And with that money, they've made a statue in Hiroshima. And the statue reads and bears this message:
This is our cry, this is our prayer, peace in the world.
Now, every year, children from around the world fold cranes and send them to Hiroshima, where they're placed around the statue. Because of Sadako, the paper crane has become an international sign of peace. And on our website, we will have a link, show you how to make a paper crane, in case you would also like to join in this message of peace.
And we noticed that our Japanese friends like to fold cranes every now and then, just in an idle moment. Our friend Yukari made one out of a gum wrapper.
Yes, I have a little teeny tiny silver crane from Yukari. And Ayaka also made one. We were telling you about the white paper in last podcast and how they use the white paper to throw money into actors up on the stage. Well, she had some extra white pieces of paper, and she folded one from that, too.
Okane. Throw okane to the hayu.
So maybe if we all fold enough cranes, we'll put an end to this whole idea of war.
Yes, so we'll have some links on our website for that, and that's all the time we have for this week. We'd like you to join us next week, and we'll bring you a new story. Actually, next week, Zephyr is going to be at camp, so you'll be listening to Dennis and myself.
Yes, I'm going to not back-to-school camp. It's kind of like back-to-school, but for the homeschoolers. Never been before, so that should be pretty interesting. I'm sorry, everybody. I got to leave you with these two. But don't worry, I'll be back the week after that. It's okay. You just got to brave out 1 week with these guys. It's okay.
We can dig out one of the stories we used to do before he came along and joined the act.
Yeah, we've got stories. Don't worry. The Activated Storytellers perform at schools and libraries nationwide. On stage, we use American Sign Language, physical comedy, imaginative props, and a giant, oversized book to bring the stories to life. For booking information, check our website at www.activated-storytellers.com, where you can also find out when the Activated Storytellers will be performing near you, read a story, or order one of our audio CDs. Until next time.